Well, you've got the results now. So the question is, of your population that have gone into the Millennium Protocol, not the Mark Gordon Protocol, but the Millennium Protocol, what percentage of them that you tested were found to be hormonally deficient?
I would say 100%.
100%. Yeah.
Well,
Ideal.
yeah,
Yeah.
because the thing is, before I even tell them, this is your problem, I screen them because I was like, I don't want to just tell patients to do
Right.
unnecessary things.
Yeah. And do you have patients that say to you, Doc, I came here for depression. Why are you doing blood work on hormones? Why are
Yeah.
you doing this side thing? But it's not. And this is what the awareness needs to be promoted out there, is the fact that when you have an injury, okay, remember, stress generates the same abnormal chemistry in the brain, which Dr. DeMaio was talking about. Cortisol goes up, fractalkine goes down, and you start dumping inflammatory chemistry into the brain. That inflammatory chemistry in the brain shuts down the enzyme systems that allow for all the neurotransmitters to be made. It allows for the neuroreceptors to be made, and it generates some nasty chemicals, peroxynitrite being one of them, which leads to Parkinson's. It leads to sleep deprivation syndrome because it shuts off melatonin, it shuts off serotonin production, and makes a chemical in the brain that listeners may not have ever heard of called kynureninic acid, which is, according to studies out of Japan with Dr. Takamura, talks about it being the cause for what we perceive is MDD, which is the major depressive disorder. And you fix this paradigm and you see people getting better. And the paradigm isn't fixed with psychotropic medication. It's fixed by addressing free radicals and inflammatory cytokines, by modulating the pathways that create inflammation in the brain. And I know you two are probably on some form of anti-inflammatory products, whether or not it's, things like vitamin D, which is incredible at fixing the brain. And you need to have good levels, therapeutic levels, not levels that are just within the parameter of being, okay, you need between 10 and 100 to be within the normal range. You're at 11, you're normal. But that's not the therapeutic level. You need to bring it all the way up to the other end. And so what we've found over the past 30 years is that for the average case of traumatic brain injury, mild psychiatric related issues, taking them to the 50th to 75th percentile of the hormone range is where we get the benefits. And in people with neurodegenerative disease like multiple sclerosis, Parkinson's disease, Alzheimer's, and ALS, you need to get to the 75th to 100th percentile. What does that mean? It means that when your listeners go and look at their laboratory results, they'll take the low end and the high end, add it together and divide it by 2, and it'll give them a number of 50. That's the 50th percentile. So they look at their results and say, are we at that 50% or above it? They should be at it or above it for optimal benefits of hormones. Okay, it's like putting in a tablespoon of gasoline in your car when you're thinking of driving from Miami to Destin, to the Panhandle. You ain't going to make it. You're not going to make it. You need to have adequate amount of fuel in the car to get up there. You need to have an adequate or optimal amount of hormones in the brain. And when we have inflammation, the regulatory system in the brain, the hypothalamus, which controls the pituitary, the master gland, it stops working. So you lose the FSH and you lose the luteinizing hormone, so you can't generate it. But there's an order in which we lose our hormones, growth hormone being 1, testosterone estradiol 2, thyroid 3, and 4th is cortisol, which we rarely lose it. We usually get a lot of it at the beginning, and we only lose it after the adrenal glands burn out from fatigue, from being sick for such a long time, for being stressed for such a long time. But anyway.
Welcome to the Head